The emergency klaxons at Earth Defense Command shattered the pre-dawn silence. Admiral Maya Santos rushed into the control center, her dark eyes fixed on the massive holographic display dominating the room. Dozens of unknown contacts had appeared just beyond Jupiter's orbit, their energy signatures unlike anything in Earth's database. "Status report," she demanded, crossing the room in quick strides. "Multiple vessels, Admiral. Largest we've ever detected. They're maintaining position." But Lieutenant Park hesitated. They're arrayed in what appears to be an attack formation. The first contact humanity had dreaded for centuries had arrived, and it wasn't coming in peace. As if confirming their fears, every communication system on Earth simultaneously activated. The alien message was brief and delivered in perfect English. "Your species will submit or be eradicated. You have 6 hours to surrender your world." Admiral Santos allowed herself exactly 3 seconds to process the shock before activating the secure quantum channel. Authorization Santos Alpha 7. Deploy the Prometheus. In the shadows of Saturn's rings, hidden from both Earth and the alien Armada, humanity's best-kept secret stirred to life. The U.S. Prometheus was unlike any warship ever built, a destroyer that bent not just conventional military doctrine, but the laws of physics themselves. Its obsidian hull absorbed virtually all electromagnetic radiation, making it nearly invisible to both sensors and the naked eye. Captain Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, watching the status displays with careful attention. At 42, she'd spent the last 3 years helping develop the revolutionary systems that made the Prometheus possible. Now they would see if the gamble had paid off. "Athena, status report." She called out to the ship's eye. "All systems nominal, Captain," the AI responded, its voice carrying subtle hints of eagerness. Athena wasn't just any artificial intelligence. She'd been trained on centuries of human military history, strategy games, and even science fiction. She thought like a human gamer looking for exploits in the system rather than following rigid military protocols. The Vanguard Empire. Athena continued, displaying analysis of the alien fleet. Their technology significantly exceeds current Earth standards in most areas, but their tactical patterns suggest a highly hierarchical, inflexible command structure. Chen nodded, studying the enemy formation. 87 ships, arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Too perfect. The kind of formation that looked impressive but sacrificed adaptability for aesthetics. Their biggest weakness, Athena added, is their predictability. They expect us to either surrender or attempt a conventional defense. The Prometheus exists outside their paradigm. The ship's revolutionary quantum phase drive hummed to life, its sound barely perceptible through the hull. Unlike conventional engines, it didn't so much move through space as slide between the quantum possibilities of where it could be. The theoretical work had won Dr. Yuki Tanaka a Nobel Prize, right before the military classified everything. "All hands," Chen announced shipwide. "This is the captain. In 5 hours, an alien force will attempt to conquer Earth. They believe they're dealing with a primitive species that will bow before superior firepower." She paused, allowing a small smile. "Let's show them how humanity handles bullies." Battle stations. The Prometheus's primary weapon wasn't its advanced phase cannons or quantum torpedoes. It was innovation itself, the human drive to find solutions where none should exist. Every officer had been chosen not just for their military excellence, but for their ability to think creatively under pressure. As they accelerated toward the alien fleet, Chen remembered the words of Dr. Tanaka during the ship's development. "The greatest weapon humanity has isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept impossible odds." The Vanguard Empire was about to learn that lesson the hard way. "Multiple targeting locks," reported Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rivera from Tactical. "They'd spotted us." "Good," Chen replied, her voice steady. "Athena, initiate combat protocol Alpha 7. Let's show them what happens when you threaten our home." The real battle was about to begin, And humanity's first interstellar war would be decided not by who had the biggest guns, but by who could adapt fastest to the impossible. The Vanguard flagship's first salvo lit up space like artificial lightning, a barrage that could have vaporized a small moon. But the Prometheus wasn't where the aliens expected it to be. The quantum phase drive had shifted the ship microseconds into the future, causing the energy beams to pass harmlessly through where they'd been. Interesting, Athena commented, analyzing the attack patterns. Their weapons are incredibly powerful, but follow predictable targeting algorithms. They're designed to hit capital ships, not something as unconventional as us. Captain Chen watched the tactical display as the massive alien vessels tried to track their much smaller ship. The Prometheus was already inside their formation, exploiting gaps they'd never thought to defend against. Status of the phase cannons. Charged and ready, Rivera reported from tactical. But Captain, their shields are reading as nearly impenetrable. Even with our advanced weapons, a direct assault would be suicide. Chen smiled. Who said anything about direct? Athena, show me their power distribution patterns. The eye overlaid the alien ships with complex energy flow diagrams. Like most advanced civilizations, the Vanguard relied heavily on massive energy shields for defense. But their confidence in those shields had made them careless about other vulnerabilities. Their shield generators, Chen noted, they're drawing power through external conduits. Heavily armored, but exposed. Athena, calculate targeting solutions. Minimum power, maximum precision. The phase cannons fired, not the devastating blasts the Vanguard expected, but precise surgical strikes. The beams phased through the outer armor, materializing inside the power conduits. The effect was immediate. Shield generators across 3 Vanguard ships overloaded and failed. Impossible. The alien commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. Your weapons cannot penetrate our defenses. We're not penetrating them. Chen responded calmly. We're going around them. Humanity's specialty. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All hands, prepare for attack pattern Delta. Let's show them what else we can do. The Prometheus danced through the Vanguard formation, its quantum drive allowing it to appear and disappear almost at will. Each appearance was accompanied by precisely calculated strikes that exploited weaknesses the aliens had never thought to protect against. It wasn't just the technology, it was how they used it. They're adapting. Athena warned as several alien ships began to modify their shield configurations. But their response is interesting. They're following standard military protocols for shield reinforcement. Standard protocols are predictable protocols, Chen replied. Athena, have you finished analyzing their command and control frequencies? Yes, Captain. Their communications are heavily encrypted, but they follow patterns similar to Earth's classical military codes. I've identified several exploitable vulnerabilities. The next phase of Chen's plan was ready. In the weeks leading up to this encounter, Athena had been fed thousands of historical examples of military deception and electronic warfare. Now it was time to use them. The AI began broadcasting phantom sensor readings across Vanguard frequencies, creating ghost images of the Prometheus appearing at multiple points in their formation simultaneously. The alien ships, bound by rigid combat doctrine, began firing at the false signals, their massive weapons catching their own allies in the crossfire. Their formation is breaking down, Rivera reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. They're splitting into smaller groups, each trying to engage us independently. Exactly as planned. The Vanguard's greatest strength, their strict military hierarchy, was becoming their greatest weakness. Without clear central coordination, each ship commander was falling back on standard protocols that the Prometheus had been specifically designed to counter. But the aliens weren't finished yet. The Vanguard flagship, a vessel nearly the size of Manhattan, began powering up its main weapon, a gravitational lance capable of tearing planets apart. They were done playing by the rules. Athena, Chen called out, What happens when you introduce a quantum phase shift into a gravitational weapon's focal point? The AI actually paused for a microsecond, and eternity for her processing speed. Unknown, Captain. The theoretical interactions between quantum fields and artificial gravity wells haven't been fully mapped. It could create a cascade failure, or it could do nothing and we all die. Chen finished. But humanity didn't get this far by playing it safe. Battle stations. All hands, brace for possible reality distortion. We're about to try something new. The Prometheus turned to face the flagship directly, its quantum drive spooling up to maximum power. This would either be the most brilliant tactical maneuver in human history or their last mistake. Either way, it would be uniquely human. The gravitational lance fired, its beam distorting space itself as it reached for the tiny human vessel. But at the exact moment of impact, the Prometheus phased, not through space or time, but through possibilities. The quantum fields met the gravitational distortion, and physics itself seemed to hold its breath. For a fraction of a second, space itself seemed to twist. The Vanguard's gravitational lance met the Prometheus's quantum field, and the laws of physics collided in ways never before witnessed by human or alien eyes. The energy readings broke every sensor on both sides. What happened next would be studied by physicists for decades to come. The quantum field didn't just deflect the gravitational beam, it inverted it. The massive energy meant to destroy the Prometheus collapsed back into the Vanguard flagship's weapon systems, creating a feedback loop that no engineer in the galaxy had ever planned for. Athena. Analysis. Chen called out, steadying herself as reality reasserted itself around them. Fascinating, the AI responded, genuine wonder in her artificial voice. The quantum field created a mathematical impossibility in the gravitational calculations. Their weapon tried to compensate, and Captain, I believe we just turned their own space-time distortion against them. The Vanguard flagship's massive gravitational lance crumbled, its internal mechanisms crushed by their own warped physics. The mighty vessel, pride of the alien fleet, now drifted with its main weapon reduced to scattered atoms. But Chen had seen something else in that moment of twisted physics, something that changed everything. Athena, show me the quantum scan of their hull during the interaction. Focus on their molecular structure. The display showed the alien ship's material composition at the quantum level. To most observers, it would have looked like meaningless data, but Chen had spent years studying quantum physics alongside Dr. Tanaka. She saw the pattern immediately. Their entire technology base, she breathed, it's built on perfectly ordered quantum states. That's why they're so powerful and so inflexible. Rivera looked up from his tactical station. Captain, they're like a perfect crystal, Chen explained, excitement building in her voice. Incredibly strong when stressed in expected ways, but introduced the right kind of chaos. She turned to her crew. That's why they're so hierarchical, so resistant to adaptation. Their entire civilization is built on maintaining perfect order, even at the quantum level. And we just introduced quantum uncertainty into their systems, Athena added, catching on immediately. Human technology embraces chaos, quantum computing that thrives on uncertainty, AI that learns through random iterations. We're not just fighting differently, we're operating on fundamentally opposite principles. The revelation spread through the bridge crew. They weren't just facing a technologically superior force. They were facing an enemy whose very nature was their weakness. The Vanguard's power came from perfect order, while humanity's strength had always been its ability to thrive in chaos. All hands, Shen announced shipwide. We've found our edge. Prepare for attack pattern Omega. We're about to show them why humanity's greatest achievements always came from embracing the unexpected. The Prometheus's quantum drive spun up again, but this time with a different purpose. Instead of using it to avoid enemy fire, they would use it to introduce quantum uncertainty into the perfectly ordered systems of the Vanguard ships. Each phase shift would send ripples of chaos through the aliens' crystalline technology. Multiple Vanguard vessels moving to surround us, Rivera reported. They're adapting their formation, but slowly. Their command structure is still trying to process what happened to the flagship. Let them come, Chen replied. Athena, begin broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's add some chaos to their communications too. The AI launched a barrage of electronic warfare unlike anything ever attempted. Instead of trying to jam or override the Vanguard's communications, she flooded them with quantum noise, introducing uncertainty into their perfectly ordered information systems. The effect was devastating. Ships that relied on precise, coordinated movements began to falter. Weapons that required perfect quantum alignment started to misfire. The mighty Vanguard fleet, for the first time in its history, experienced something its entire civilization had been built to eliminate: unpredictability. Enemy vessels showing signs of systemic failures, Athena reported. Their attempts to compensate are only making it worse. They're trying to impose order on quantum chaos. It's like trying to freeze a wave. Chen watched as the alien fleet's perfect formation dissolved into confusion. The Vanguard commanders had never faced an enemy that attacked not just their ships, but the very foundations of their technology. Their response was to try to impose even more order, more control. Exactly the wrong approach. They're planning something, Rivera warned, eyeing his tactical display. The remaining ships are falling back, regrouping around their secondary command vessel. Of course they are, Chen nodded. When faced with chaos, they seek greater order. It's their nature and their weakness. Athena, calculate firing solutions for their new formation. This time, we're not aiming for their weapons or shields. Target the quantum structure of their hulls directly. The Prometheus's phase cannons powered up again, but with a completely new targeting protocol. They weren't trying to destroy the Vanguard ships. They were going to introduce just enough quantum uncertainty to turn their greatest strength into their greatest vulnerability. The Vanguard's secondary command ship launched a transmission that cut through the quantum interference. You violate the natural order, the new commander's voice thundered. Your chaos cannot prevail against the perfect harmony of the universe. Chen couldn't help but smile at the irony. Athena, what would Dr. Tanaka say about perfect harmony in quantum physics? Dr. Tanaka would point out that quantum uncertainty is the fundamental nature of reality. The AI responded. The universe itself runs on probability, not certainty. The Vanguard aren't preserving natural order. They're trying to impose artificial order on natural chaos. As if to emphasize the point, the Prometheus's sensors detected a massive power buildup in the remaining Vanguard fleet. They were synchronizing their ship's quantum fields, trying to create a zone of perfect order that would neutralize the human vessel's advantage. They still don't understand, Lieutenant Commander Rivera observed. They think if they can just achieve perfect coordination, they'll win. They can't imagine that imperfection could be strength. Chen finished. She turned to her crew. Everyone, I want your ideas, no matter how crazy they seem. What happens when you try to impose perfect order on a chaotic system? This was where humanity's true advantage lay, not just in their technology, but in their ability to think creatively, to embrace the unexpected. The bridge crew, chosen specifically for their unconventional problem-solving abilities, began throwing out ideas. It's like trying to smooth out water, Ensign Park suggested from the physics station. The harder you press, the more turbulent it becomes. Or like those old video games, Rivera added. When you try to make an A too perfect, it becomes predictable, exploitable. Athena's processing cores lit up as she integrated these human insights with her vast database of strategic knowledge. Captain, I believe I understand. The Vanguard's attempt to create perfect order will actually make them more vulnerable to quantum disruption. They're creating a brittle system. Chen nodded, watching the enemy fleet's synchronization reach new levels of precision. Their ships moved in perfect unison now, their quantum fields aligned with mathematical perfection. To most observers, it would have looked unbeatable. But the crew of the Prometheus saw something different. They saw a system so rigid that the slightest deviation would shatter it completely. Athena, Chen called out. Remember those old chaos theory simulations you were studying? About butterfly effects in complex systems? Yes, Captain. A small perturbation in initial conditions leading to massive changes in. The AI paused. Oh, that's brilliant. And very human. Chen turned to her crew. We're going to introduce a quantum butterfly effect into their synchronized field. One tiny irregularity that their system will try to correct, only to make it worse with each attempt. The plan was quintessentially human, using the enemy's strength against them by introducing just enough chaos to let their own rigid responses tear them apart. It wasn't about overwhelming force or superior technology. It was about understanding that sometimes the smallest push in the right place could bring down the mightiest opponent. All hands, prepare for high-precision quantum phasing, Chen announced. Athena, plot us a course through their synchronized field. We're going to thread the needle. The Prometheus's quantum drive spun up one more time, but instead of its usual power levels, it was tuned to produce the smallest possible phase shift, just enough to create a microscopic imperfection in the Vanguard's perfect lattice of quantum fields. They're tracking us, Rivera reported, moving to intercept. Let them, Chen replied. In fact, Athena, broadcast our exact course to them. Make sure they know exactly where we're going to be. The AI understood immediately. The Vanguard's response to a known threat would be even more rigid, even more precisely calculated. They would commit fully to their perfect solution, and that commitment would be their undoing. The Prometheus dove toward the enemy fleet, its quantum field tuned to create not destruction, but imperfection. Like a single wrong note in a perfect symphony, like a single grain of sand in a precision machine, they would introduce the tiny flaw that the Vanguard's own drive for perfection would amplify into catastrophe. Impact in 10 seconds, Rivera announced. Chen watched the tactical display, seeing not just the physical battle but the philosophical one. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, the understanding that perfection was a dead end, that true strength came from embracing uncertainty, from learning to dance with chaos rather than trying to cage it. 5 seconds. The Vanguard fleet's synchronized quantum field glowed with power, ready to crush the tiny human vessel that dared to challenge their perfect order. 3 seconds. The Prometheus's quantum drive reached its precisely calculated state of imperfection. 1 second. Chen smiled. Sometimes the butterfly wins. The instant the Prometheus's quantum field touched the Vanguard's synchronized defense screen, reality seemed to hiccup. There was no massive explosion, no dramatic light show, just a tiny ripple of uncertainty in their perfect quantum lattice. For one brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ripple began to spread. Fascinating, Athena commented, watching the cascade of effects through the Prometheus's sensors. Their automated systems are detecting the imperfection and attempting to correct it. But each correction is introducing new variables, new uncertainties. The Vanguard ship's quantum fields began to fluctuate as their control systems fought desperately to maintain perfect synchronization. But like a house of cards in an earthquake, once the first tremor of chaos was introduced, each attempt to restore order only accelerated the collapse. Their fleet-wide quantum field is destabilizing, Rivera reported, wonder in his voice. They're trying to compensate by routing more power to their synchronization systems, but they're fighting the fundamental nature of reality itself. Chen finished. Athena, broadcast on all frequencies. Let's give them one last chance. The AI opened a channel to the remaining Vanguard vessels. Chen stood from her command chair, her voice calm but firm. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the U.S. Prometheus. Your synchronized quantum field is collapsing. If you maintain this formation, the cascade failure will destroy your entire fleet. Stand down. The response came immediately, filled with the same unyielding certainty that had characterized the Vanguard from the start. We are the perfection of order. We cannot fail. We cannot. The transmission cut off as the first Vanguard ship's quantum systems collapsed completely. Its perfectly ordered technology, unable to handle the increasing chaos, simply shut down. One by one, other ships began to go dark, their mighty engines and weapons falling silent. No critical failures in their life support or containment systems, Athena reported. The cascade is affecting their military and propulsion technology, but their crews will survive. Chen nodded. Even in victory, humanity would not become what they had fought against. Begin rescue operations for any ships that lose environmental controls. Contact Earth Defense Command for support vessels. As the mighty Vanguard fleet drifted powerless in space, Chen turned to her crew. Humanity just won its first interstellar war, not through superior firepower or technology, but by understanding something fundamental about the universe and ourselves. Hours later, as Earth rescue ships began arriving to assist the stranded Vanguard vessels, Chen sat in her ready room with Athena's holographic avatar, discussing the implications of their victory. The quantum chaos cascade we initiated will spread through their entire civilization's technology base, the AI explained. They'll have to fundamentally redesign everything if they want to maintain their empire. But more importantly, this victory will change the galaxy's perception of humanity. Because we won? Chen asked. Because of how we won, Athena corrected. We didn't just defeat a superior force. We proved that their entire philosophical approach to technology and civilization was flawed. Other species will take notice. As if to confirm Athena's words, a new signal reached the Prometheus. Unlike the Vanguard's demand for submission, this one came as a request for contact. The holographic figure that appeared was unlike anything the crew had seen, a being of swirling energy that seemed to constantly shift and change. People of Earth, the entity spoke, its voice harmonious yet ever-changing. I am Ambassador Zix of the Quantum Collective. We have watched your battle with great interest. Your understanding of the relationship between order and chaos intrigues us. Chen exchanged glances with her officers before responding. We would be honored to open diplomatic relations. As would we. For too long, the Vanguard's philosophy of perfect order has dominated galactic civilization. Perhaps it is time for a new perspective, one that embraces the chaos that gives the universe its creative force. In the days that followed, more signals arrived from other civilizations that had watched the battle. Some offered trade agreements, others technological exchanges, but all shared a common theme. Humanity had demonstrated not just military prowess, but a fundamental insight into the nature of reality itself. The Prometheus would go on to lead Earth's first diplomatic fleet, carrying the message that true strength came not from imposing order on chaos, but from learning to thrive within it. The ship's quantum drive technology would revolutionize space travel, and Athena's unique blend of human creativity and artificial intelligence would become a model for a new kind of partnership between organic and digital minds. But perhaps most importantly, humanity had proven something to the galaxy and to themselves. In a universe that ran on quantum uncertainty, their greatest weakness, their unpredictability, their chaos, their endless creativity, had turned out to be their greatest strength. As Chen looked out at the stars from her command chair, she smiled at the thought of what the future might hold. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy, and they had done it not by becoming more like their advanced neighbors, but by being uniquely, impossibly, wonderfully human.